Hi guys, my name is Kingsley. Welcome back to LogRocket. I'll be teaching you how you can write a good error message. Right in front of me, I have two error messages. One was written wrongly and the other one was written right. So we're going to be looking at this first screen, which is operation could be completed. So there is no generic messages that is trying to guide users on the next action or what actually prompted this error message. When you look at this, the one on the right, you will see poor network connection dictated. Please check your connectivity. Now in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can actually prototype these error messages and how you can actually design right in Figma. So when you look at this, you will see two error messages that I've written. So one is authentication error and the other one is logo authentication is unavailable. Try logging in with your email instead. So now I'm just trying to guide the users on the next alternative way to actually log in, because that is the message I'm trying to pass across, because we don't want them to get stuck when users actually encounter these error messages without any action or any text leading them to the next available action. They will just dump the product and leave, and that might just be the end. Right, so we're going to go ahead and prototype this. I'm going to show you the best case scenario to handle this as a UX designer. So I'm just going to put this inside this. So now another thing is, where did the error occur? So you need to point this thing out. So if I actually display this like this, it's still bad because the positioning is wrong and there is no interpretation on what or action that I took that actually prompted this error, because I don't know what I did. Right here we have logo authentication, but there is no Google authentication on this message. So we could actually change this to something else, unless we have Google authentication email, probably where you have users to log in with your Google account, or whether you want them to log in with their Facebook account or even Apple account. So this is where these error messages can actually come in. Right, so what I'm going to do now is to leave this out because we don't have sign in with Google. So what I can do is just probably design it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So go to this iconify. So while that is loading, you're going to see the icon. So once that is out, I'm going to search for Google, and we are going to get this logo here. I'm going to put it out. So once it's out, I'm just going to write a message, continue with Google. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to expand this, set this to 24, much better. The text size is 14, reasonable. Then I'm going to select the two of them and just add auto layout. Once that is done, I'm just going to give 20 as padding and also make sure that this is centered. And I'm going to give 10, set the fill to base white, and I'm going to give it a corner radius of 10. Now once this is done, I'm just going to push this inside here. So depending on the action you want to perform first, you can push this up or you can just do this one. So we want them to go with your Google account, and we're going to push this first. I'm going to set this to fill. So once this is fill, I'm just going to give it a stroke like this, so it appears like this. So let's just make the stroke more obvious. I'm just going to use 200. So we're going to set this to 48, much better, because this is 55. We can actually make this 55 just for consistency. So set the button to 55. So now we assume that the user tried to use Google to log in, but the authentication failed, right? So we're now trying to tell them to log in with email. So the next thing we're going to do now is differentiate between these two and not just leave it like that. So we're going to do this. Once I have this, I'm going to add auto layout, then set this to fill white. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to pick the pen tool and just draw a line. So once I'm done, I'm just going to double click, set the line to, I'm going to set it to 10, then select this and add auto layouts. So set this to fill, just make sure this is on fill. Then I'm going to duplicate this, also get this to be in the middle. So once that is done, I'm just going to put it in here. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. Then we're going to set this to fill and we have this. So if this error, if we want to display these error messages, because Google Authentication is unavailable, try logging in with your email address. So now it's time for us to pull this in here. So the right place for it to be is just somewhere here. So we're going to make sure that this actually comes up. Right, so now you're seeing that this Google Authentication email failed. Now there's one more thing we need to do. I'm just going to untag this and set this stroke to red because this failed. We're just highlighting that this action did not work. So the only thing we might do to present this very well is to actually make this grayed out, but you can actually gray it out when this is not, when the error is coming from either of these two. Probably the email address is not correct, or probably the password is not correct. So this is another way to actually display and write error messages correctly, because here the authentication error, there's nothing that is actually prompting this error. You don't know how the error is coming up. That's a very bad UX. It's going to get the user more confused because I don't know what to do next. But this is more concise, more clear, and you see where the action is coming from. What actually triggered this action is being highlighted on red, just so you know that, okay, this is the action I tried to take, but it doesn't work. So now the next thing we're going to do now is to actually link them to sign up there with their email. So this is now going to be, because we're going to leave this like this, and this would be cleared out. So we'll leave this like this. So now we're trying to let them do this. The next action is their email or password. So I'm just going to go back. So we'll just fill this out. So I'm going to say password, and this one is email. Enter email. Once we do this, this is a placeholder that doesn't need to be pure black. We could use something that looks like this. So we'll leave it like this. So this is another way. I'm going to show you another case where you can actually display the error message correctly. It needs to be responsive, right? So the best way to do this is if we actually increase this, you will see that this is actually staying in the center. If you want it to be responsive, we can actually set this to set the entire stuff to auto layout. If you want to get a very good UX, this should run across all devices. So the best way to do that is to make sure that this is set to fill, which I already did, and this is also positioned right. This also is positioned right, so that at any event this gets to stretch out, it will look like this instead of this. So on smaller device it will look like this, bigger device it will look something like this. Now we're going to go back to this. So here you see these two screens. So leave feedback. Here this field is required. So what field is required? You're not highlighting the field that is required. Nothing that actually pushing me to do the right thing. All I'm just seeing is an error message that leads to nothing, right? But if you look at this one, you will see, please fill out this field. So it's clearly written out, and you see the field that we want you to impute those feedback. So that is actually how you know a good UX and a bad UX, right? So this has a very bad UX, and this, despite the fact that it's good, but when I come here I might just get stuck. I don't know what next to do. I'll just abandon it, right? But another way we can actually correct is just to gray out this, because the action is not yet complete. So I'm just going to set this to gray until you feel this. If it's required, we are now prompting you, we're stopping you from moving to the next stage, because you've not completed an action that we want you to complete. So now the next thing we're going to do is to just gray out this and also highlight the place we want you to fill out, and clearly writing out the error message, which is very, very important, because if you get this thing wrong, users will definitely have a very bad experience engaging with your product. So here we say, please fill out this field, and here it just says this field is required. Which field is required? Nothing. We don't know the field that is required, right? So that's how you can actually navigate through writing UX errors while designing. So here are some of the things you're actually going to go home with. Poorly written error messages frustrate users, increases confusion, and leads to drop-offs. It actually leads to a lot of drop-off, because if I don't know the next action that you want me to take, I will definitely go. Then good error messages are clear, helpful, and actionable, guiding users towards a resolution rather than just telling them something is wrong. Just like what we just pointed out previously. Now, tone, clarity, and placement always matter. The tone at which you use to write these error messages, it's very, very important. Now, error messages should be humor friendly, concise, and positioned near the issue. What we just did, what I just showed you guys previously before this. The last one is error messages should work well across different devices and screen sizes. So that's just it. So I'm going to be seeing you guys on the next video. Please try and subscribe, like, and share this video for more UX tips to come your way. Bye for now.